Hey, just finishing this claim to get Dave back on the road.
Nice. I wonder what Dave's doing.
You do your thing. We've got you covered.
Hey, is the power off on this?
I don't know. Just take it off.
Safety violation, unsafe work conditions.
In the construction trades unions, safety is our highest priority, and we train you to recognize and speak out on unsafe working conditions so that everyone arrives and goes home safely. Learn about careers in construction at georgiaconstructioncareers.com.
All right, good afternoon and welcome to the 289th episode of the Alfa Insurance Georgia Prep Sports Drive for the GHSA State Title. It's Monday, so today we're going to go over our top play of the week. We'll recap that game as well. That was Kell against GAC, our Hall of Fame game. A big region showdown that Kell came out victorious in. We'll talk about the other results, update the current standings across the state regarding the regions, and then we're going to cover the volleyball state playoffs also and look ahead to this week. But let's just get started with Friday's result, and then we'll get into the top play in a second. But it was Kell against GAC, a tremendous matchup. I thought the edge was going to go to Kell heading into the game, but I got to say, GAC was impressive. I was talking to some of the Kell coaching staff after the game, and they were also impressed with especially that GAC receiving core. They made a lot of very difficult catches, and I think one of the things we saw in that game was the receivers were making plays that are almost unguardable. When your quarterback throws it on the money and the receivers go up and make a play, I mean, as a coach, you can't really get too mad about that when your guys are in position. And so we saw a lot of that. It was an even matchup. Every time GAC tried to get back in it, though, Kell had an answer. And I thought that's what really stood out. This is a Kell team that has gotten better every single week, and they are really fun to watch. And I think Bryce Clavin, their quarterback, said it best to Adam Crone after the game. They basically come out of this big stretch, big wins over Cambridge and GAC, and they want to continue this momentum. They got 2 games left. They should win them, but they really want to continue hitting that stride and going into the playoffs playing their best ball. In the third quarter, there were some opportunities for Kell to put the game away. Their opening drive of the second half was really impressive. It took up almost half of the third quarter, and then they ended up, I think because of some penalties down in the red zone, missing a field goal just wide right. And then GAC also had opportunities to bring it within a touchdown, cut into that deficit. They had a fumble, but then the way Kell closed out the game was very, very impressive. Once that game was in their reach, they got it done on both sides of the ball. Big plays by Bryce Clavin. The running attack for Kell looks very impressive. Bryce ended up finishing the game as the leading rusher, but man, they've got multiple guys in that backfield. Thought the play design was outstanding. The different looks they did. And one thing that I hadn't seen the first time we saw Kell was just the different ways that they're able to use Kyle Vaca in that offense. He's obviously a receiver. He plays on the outside. He's not a slot guy. He takes the top off the defense, but they were using him in the backfield in motion. He was blocking. He was one of the plays that actually got called back for a penalty forgot what the call was on the play. Oh yeah, it was a block in the back. That was kind of out of the picture, but Kell ran basically, I think it was like a reverse flea flicker, and because Kyle had been back there blocking the edge, he was able to basically run a route that you see a lot of backs or tight ends run, where he faked the block, slipped out, and was wide open. That play got negated, but just one of the many creative play designs that you can tell that this Kell team is very studied. They know where the opportunities are, and anytime a guy was open, Bryce was able to recognize it. Very impressive. Kamari Nix made some big plays as well. He did have one, I think it was either late in the second quarter or third quarter. It was like a beautiful pass by Bryce Clavin and just slipped through his hands, but then he responded, had a big touchdown run later on. I think it was a touchdown, but anytime Kell maybe had something go against him, a penalty, a drop pass, they responded and made the big play. And once again, Kyle Vaca, I always say this, the guy catches everything. I've seen him play a lot of times, and I've never seen anything where he didn't take advantage of it when his number's called. He had the big play to start off the game. GAC had a huge return. They ended up fumbling, and then Bryce Clavin found him on, I think it was just a slant route, and he turned on the Jets afterwards. And so he was open on that play. He sprinted to the end zone. Some guys, once they catch it and they basically have a 20-yard head start on the defenders, they might slow down a little bit, but that's not Kyle. And he ended up clocking 20 miles per hour on that play. He's been clocked, I think, over 21 this season. Only guys I've seen close to that, I think, are KJ Bolden and Cam Lloyd for Walton. And just put that in perspective. Running that fast with the ball in your hand is difficult. So if he's clocking 21-20 with the football, imagine how fast he is on these routes. And I think that's just what is so impressive about him. And then, okay, so why did he keep running as fast as he could when he had the head start and could have jogged into the end zone? It's because that's what he does every single play. He's full speed all the time, and I think that's what you're seeing with big games like this. It's his preparation. No one has outworked that guy, and then once he's on the field, he's going to go full speed every single snap, and that's why he's been such a valuable piece to this offense. And so he ended up getting the MVP. I was looking at his stats from this season. He had a huge game against Parkview, and then Peyton Zachary, their sophomore receiver, tremendous prospect. He was out against Alatoona the next week, and so Kyle really had to step up, had a season-high 8 catches, close to 180 yards. But then in some of the games after that, you have Kamari Nix coming in. Kell goes to more of a rushing attack. They limit some of the touches. Also factor into that, this is an offense that's scoring 47 points a game. A lot of these were blowouts or running clocks in the second half or fourth quarter. So he was getting 2 catches, 3 catches. But then this last week, when they needed a lot of touches from him, he contributed in a massive way and averaged, I think, close to 40 yards a catch this last game. So just a tremendous performance, and you see how versatile this Kell offense is. So let's go ahead and run it. You're going to see this is a compilation, but I'll point out the one play that I thought was my play of the week. But let's get started.
How you feeling, baby? How you feeling? How you
And
feeling?
this is Najee's footage, a great compilation.
Yes, sir.
All right, here's was the touchdown that started off. Oh, no, this is the sideline catch. That's right. Textbook, perfect. You see he catches it out in front. Here's the speed.
He's going to go racing down the middle of the field, and he's going to go all the way for a touchdown. 85 yards for Kyle.
Can we pause it real quick?
Stayed here, and a guy that came over from Westlake here and has really done, great here.
Receiver that's playing.
Let's look at this one more time.
Receiver that's played big every time he.
All right, so what's so awesome about this, Brandon and Rusty are calling the game. The Kell offense goes out on the field. They're going over the top playmakers, talking about Bryce, and then they mentioned Kyle, and they said, yeah, we've covered him before, and he had a huge catch against Parkview. Every single time we see him, he's making big plays, and right on cue, you see him recognize it. He said he even, in the postgame, said once he saw that there was a potential opening in the coverage, him and Bryce kind of made eye contact before the play. They knew it was going to be open. That's them just being on the same page, and it was just easy money. Anytime you leave him that much space, he's going to make you pay. So that was a great way to start off the game for them, and Kell never trailed in the contest. But let's look at him off to the races one more time.
Never had him on television. Here's Kyle Baca. He's going to go racing down the middle of the field, and he's going to go all the way for a touchdown. 85 yards for Kyle Baca.
Stayed here, and a guy that came over from Westlake here and has really done, great here. And Clavon going to crank it up and throw, looking for Baca again. What a catch by Kyle Baca at the 25-yard line.
Talking about a contested catch. This quarterback just gives him a chance, and watch Baca reach, man. Great coverage, but too much. Just a great tracking of that ball.
Kyle, I want to start with you, man. That first big touchdown, set it up, got the offense rolling, man. What did you see on that play? I seen the versatility in the game. They were lining up in running back, lining up in slot. What did you see on that touchdown?
Yes, sir, for sure. We had a great week of practice putting those plays in and installing that type of formation, and I knew that they hadn't seen that before. So when I lined up at tailback, we kind of thought that maybe they would emphasize me a little more, cover me a little more, and we could break something open on a slot fade, maybe outside. But I went out there, motioned out, nobody was there. Me and Bryce kind of made eye contact, and the rest is history.
So there you have it. So the play that you saw, that contested catch, it was so huge because GAC was starting to come back in that third quarter. Kell missed the field goal, as I mentioned, on that opening drive. And so we talked to Coach May right before it. It's like, what are you looking for from the offense? We're looking to finish. We got to finish this game. And to have that play to start off the fourth quarter really changed the momentum, and they looked really unstoppable after that. And it was just a good environment, impressive performance by Kell. And what a lot of people don't realize, this puts them in position to win their first region title since 2014. That has been a long time coming. And it's just a great Kell team. I love the way Bryce is playing. His athleticism at quarterback is next level. You got Tyreek Green in that backfield. Terrius Gibson, the freshman. You talk to any Kell coach, they're trying to get me to realize, they're like, Craig, I don't think you understand. This guy is the real deal. And Kell's had some great playmakers in the past. Jonathan Dwyer, Quincy Mauger, Brendan Langley. But this team, I just think they have every single position covered. And then defensively, they're just really stout in all levels. I mean, anytime GAC was able to make a play, it was pretty much a spectacular effort. They don't give up anything easy. And so I think both of these teams are going to fare very well in the playoffs. This is a GAC team that returned 20 of 22 starters from last season. You can tell they're experienced. They've got unbelievable speed, all over the field, but especially out of the backfield. And we saw it also on special teams. But just an overall great matchup. I'm really glad we picked that game. There were some other good ones that we considered for the Hall of Fame game, but just to open the season, that's where it all started. The first games were played at Kell High School with North Atlanta and Johns Creek, and then the Kell Parkview game. And then we saw what Parkview did Friday night as well, beating Newton in a great matchup. So I'll go ahead and just transition to that result right there, because that was obviously huge. Newton was undefeated, and Parkview with that win, they have a chance to contend for the region now. And the thing that stood out about that game, Parkview's other losses this year, they lost to Mill Creek at the end of the game. Mill Creek was able to basically hold the last possession, and that's one of the things I've been critical about Parkview with. I think they have incredible talent all over the field. Mike Matthews at receiver, defensive guys, and so the way they've won games, it's not necessarily with sustained drives. It's just guys making big touchdown plays. But in this game against Newton, I think they had the ball for the last 4 minutes and were able to play the clock well. So that is credit to them. That was a factor that worked against them previously in the Mill Creek game. But in this one, with this season on the line, with you're playing the leading team in your region, to execute like that and close out the victory was very impressive. And so let's pull up some of the stats from that. I know Mike Matthews went off. He's the top-rated senior receiver in the state. But Jaden Daniels, their quarterback, had a good game. 18 of 22 passing for 275 yards. He had 2 touchdowns and also rushed for 2 touchdowns. I think he had 2 interceptions, but still, that's very efficient numbers right there. Probably his best game of the season. And he, of course, is a transfer that came over from St. Francis. So it's taken him a little time to, I think, adapt to the 7A football just with his new playmakers, but that's a great sign for him. It's got to be a big confidence boost. And when he played Kell in the opener, I saw that he could have possibly had 4 interceptions in that game. That was a criticism, and so he had 2 in against Newton, but it looks like he was able to shake it off and get to the next play. So credit to Jaden Daniels and Parkview for that big victory. And let's just look at that region real quick. So you got Archer at 3-0 now. They're 5-3 overall. And then Newton, Grayson, and Parkview are all 2-1. And you got South Gwinnett and Brookwood down at 0-3. I think there is a possible situation where they could force a tie and South Gwinnett or Brookwood could get back in it, but it looks like it's going to be those 4 teams. And then you're going to have Newton against South Gwinnett on Thursday, so that's going to give us a good idea of what it's going to look like heading into Friday. And then you're going to have Archer versus Grayson, a huge matchup, and then Brookwood against Parkview, that annual rivalry. So we'll see how Newton bounces back. Parkview obviously bounced back from its loss to Archer last week with the big win over Newton, and so that region is looking very exciting down the stretch. The other game that we considered to broadcast last week was the Collins Hill and Mill Creek game. Collins Hill's obviously had a tough season, but that turned out to be a very close game. Collins Hill battled through and through, but Mill Creek was able to come out with a 24-18 win. Jaden Patterson intercepted Collins Hill in the end zone with 1:47 left when Collins Hill had a 1st and goal from the 7. So that is tough to turn it over in the red zone like that with a chance to win. And then Patterson, the hero of the game defensively, also had a blocked field goal. And then Trajan Greco, once again, was a hero. He did his thing against Buford, stepped up, looked like the best player on the field, led Mill Creek to the victory, and then he had another big-time performance, 2 touchdown catches, and Shane Throgmorton finished with 3. He was 19 of 27 passing, so I think that sealed the deal for Mill Creek in terms of the region. Let me just double check because they might have 2 games left. It will be Decula against Mill Creek this week, and so they can clinch it with a win there. Decula played Buford this last week, and it was a 66-0 win by the Wolves. They obviously responded very strongly after their loss to Mill Creek, and the big-time performance in that one came from KJ Bolden, just an exceptional player, all-state. In my opinion, the best athlete in the state this season. He had a touchdown on the opening kickoff. He had an interception return for a touchdown, and he also caught a touchdown pass and rushed for a touchdown. If Buford's going to win state this year, KJ Bolden is going to be the guy. But let's go ahead. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be back on the other side to go over some more results.
What you doing?
Hey, just finishing this claim to get Dave back on the road.
Nice. I wonder what Dave's doing.
You do your thing. We've got you covered.
Hey, does it matter if this leaks?
It don't matter to me. Can't see it from my house.
Illegal use of hands, improper training.
GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com has 14 different highly skilled trades with tuition-free training in our certified apprenticeship programs to train you the right way. Find your career at GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com.
All right, welcome back. So let's close out 7A real quick. So Walton, 48-7 win over Cherokee. That was obviously major, especially with Osborne falling to Wheeler. That raises Walton's chances at a region title up to probably 99%. And that was obviously one of the 3 goals. They wanted to win their opener, win the region, and win state. In this one, the 48-7 victory, what stands out? Well, Hecklinski, another great performance. They're out to a 35-0 lead at the half, 12 of 15 passing for 246 and 3 touchdowns. What stands out is Cam Lloyd once again having a major impact. This is huge because, as you guys know, Wyatt Sonderman has been out with, I think, a broken hand ever since the North Paulding game, and Cam Lloyd stepped up in that game and has stepped up ever since. Made big plays in the North Cobb game when they were down 21-0, I think, to get them back in it. And he had 5 catches for 144 yards and 2 touchdowns. The other standout is a name that doesn't get enough credit on Walton. That's Lota Ugokwe. Had 3 sacks, so he has been really strong this entire season. He had 2 sacks against Grayson. I think he might have been 4 sacks against North Cobb, and then 3 this last week. So he's having a tremendous impact, and Walton's defense has been one of the better units they've had in over just their strong run in recent seasons. So also in 7A, Colquitt County beat Lowndes 52-34. Tons of offense in that game. They were up 42-34 before dominating the fourth quarter. They had 654 yards of offense. Just crazy numbers right there. They've looked sharp all season long. Carrollton, a 31-7 win over Westlake. Juju was 10 of 20 passing for 114 yards and 2 touchdowns, so not his most efficient performance, but then Kamari Farmer, the sophomore, 147 yards on the ground and 2 touchdowns on it, 28 carries. And then obviously credit to the Carrollton defense, holding Westlake to just 7 points. Norcross had a big win over Meadow Creek, 48-0. That's going to set up a big showdown this week against Peachtree Ridge, who's undefeated. That will be for the region. Definitely a top matchup to watch this week. And then you had Grayson beat Brookwood 57-10. They're going to play Archer, as we mentioned. All right, in 6A, Thomas County Central, they actually, in the composite rankings, went ahead of Gainesville this last week. They had a big matchup on Saturday against Houston County, and they won 27-0. So what's interesting about Thomas County Central, people talk about complementary football. When your defense is playing well, you can rely on it. You aren't going to be as aggressive offensively. You can take advantage of field position. Their defense has been so good this year that they have one of the highest margins of victory in the state. And if you look at their total yardage per game, I mean, it wouldn't even crack the top 50 in the state. They've just been that efficient where they haven't even had to try to be aggressive. And you're beating Houston County 27-0. That's just incredible. We saw that offense in person. They're so explosive. Their screen game, AJ Hill, their quarterback, what he's able to do, just a big prospect that can run, has a huge arm. So they were sideline to sideline. A really impressive shutout. That's going to improve them to 8-0. Now they're going to play Lee County up next. Douglas County, what a season they're having. A 48-14 win over East Paulding, a great East Paulding team. Sire Hardaway, 7 of 11, passing 222 yards and 3 touchdowns, 2 to Marcus Carter. You had Hughes beat Noonan. That's big for them. With Douglas County running the region at this point, they can still secure home field. And in that one, Justice Savage, one of the best running backs in the state, 217 yards and 2 touchdowns. If Hughes is running the ball like that and you got Aaron Nolan back there, I think they can beat anyone in 6A once again. And then Rome, who once again, last year, they had the biggest margin of victory over their region in the state. It was something like they won by 48 points per game. If I do the numbers, I think this year might be even more, and they beat River Ridge 55-0. Reese Fountain, senior quarterback, 4-year starter, 16 of 22 passing for 311 yards and 5 touchdowns. How is that for an efficient night? And then DK Daniel had 4 catches for 124 yards, 2 touchdowns. Javarius McDermott had a 25-yard reception and touchdown run. So they play Creekview next Friday, a big matchup. I think this is, if you're a Rome fan, you've got to love the way they're playing at this point in the season. Marist had a really hard-fought win over North Atlanta. That's probably going to secure the region for them. They're going to play St. Pius next. And quarterback Jack Ewert came up big. I think he led them in rushing and had some big plays in the passing game, but it was a low-scoring affair, and it looks like a costly turnover after a punt late in the game set up a score. So not a lot of points, 16-3 win. Roswell defeated Sprayberry. Nakai Davenport is back. He had a big-time game, 192 yards rushing on just 12 carries. And then Woodward Academy beat Jonesboro 29-6. They've been in the top 10 throughout the year. I think just a couple losses. They fell, I think, to Marist on a last-minute play and then an out-of-state loss. But in that one, Jonesboro's only touchdown came on a kickoff return, so the defense played really great. So 6A is looking very interesting. You still got Gainesville at the top. In 5A, Creekside beat Villica, who was, I think, second in their region, so that was a big-time win. Quarterback Vincent Berry, 265 yards and 4 touchdowns in the air. He had 2 to Eric Paul and then 1 to Shane Kelly, who had a big game, 5 catches, 113 yards. Shane Kelly has had a phenomenal season for Creekside, and they are looking very strong. Jefferson, another big win, 56-20 over Loganville. Their quarterback, Gavin Markey, he's having a great year. 5 of 5 passing for 190 yards and 3 touchdowns. 5 completions, 3 touchdowns. That, we're talking about 5A. Because Calhoun suffered a loss last week to Hiram. And believe it or not, I mean, this is a Calhoun team that was up 17-0 on Cartersville, had a chance to win that one, cruise to the region title. They end up falling in that one. And then because that region is so competitive, they play Cass this week, and they have a 23-year playoff streak on the line in this game. If they don't win it, because there's 5 teams that are all in that running, they could be on the outside looking in. So let's see the updated standings real quick. All right, so you got Hiram and Calhoun both at 2-2. Dalton's at 3-1. Cartersville at 4-0. They're gonna play. Obviously, those teams are going to be cheering for Dalton, but let's just say Cartersville wins. That's going to put Dalton at 3-2. Oh, sorry, that's right. Dalton beat Calhoun this last week. So Dalton has the edge over them. And then, so Cass is going to play Calhoun in a must-win game. Who does Hiram have after this? Yeah, so all these teams only have 1 game left. So, we will be able to find out. Let me just do this real quick. Okay. Cass and Calhoun are going to play. I'm trying to think if Cass can get back in it. Yeah, they would have to beat Calhoun to get that 4 seed. So an interesting scenario, but that will be a region to watch this week. All right, let's go to volleyball real quick, though. We got the Elite 8 coming up, and a lot of big matchups at this point. So in 7A, on the left side of the bracket, you're going to have Marietta against Walton. Marietta entered the playoffs as the number 10 team. They beat Carrollton and Lowndes to advance to the Elite 8. Walton swept Collins Hill and then had a 3-1 win over Peachtree Ridge, who upset South Forsyth on the road in the first round. At the bottom left, you're going to have Hillgrove against North Gwinnett. Hillgrove defeated Brookwood in the Sweet 16. Brookwood was ranked number 8. And then North Gwinnett beat Buford, a big-time win for them. And so Hillgrove and North Gwinnett, that will be a serious toss-up in my opinion. But I would go with Hillgrove in that one. I've got them ranked number 3. All right, on the right side, Cherokee is going to play Grayson. Grayson's coming off a 3-2 win over North Paulding. They defeated Brookwood in the region title to get the number 1 seed. And then Cherokee is the number 3 seed out of Region 5 behind Walton and North Cobb. Region 5 had all 3 of those teams in the top 4. Cherokee beat West Forsyth in the Sweet 16, West Forsyth was number 6 in the poll, and they beat number 7 Norcross 3-1 in the first round. North Cobb is going to play Richmond Hill on the bottom right, and all these are going to be on Wednesday. North Cobb has swept past Decula and Forsyth Central, and Richmond Hill is coming off a big 3-1 win over East Coweta. They are my pre-playoff number 9. So all of those are going to be top 10 matchups, and the polls have held up so far, but this is where it could get challenging because you got all these top 10 matchups, and it's going to be some tough competition. But in 6A, St. Pius against Johns Creek is going to be on the left side, and then you're going to have Woodward Academy at Alpharetta. Sorry, that will be at Woodward Academy. Alpharetta had a 32-match win streak snapped by Pope in the region championship, so they will have to go on the road. On the other side, Pope against Marist, and then Blessed Trinity against South Effingham. South Effingham's coming off a 3-1 win over Veterans, and they will be the number 2 seed. Blessed Trinity is the number 4 seed out of Region 7. And so let's see. Region 7 still has Pope in it, Blessed Trinity, Alpharetta, and Johns Creek. So all 4 teams out of Region 7 are still in it, and we're all in the top 10 with Alpharetta, Pope, and Johns Creek actually at 1, 2, and 3. So we could see Region 7 advance once again, and you'd see a complete sweep into the semis. All right, in Class 5A, Kell, I think they've had the toughest first 2 rounds out of any team. They had to play Calhoun in the first round. Calhoun was ranked, and then they had to play Midtown in the second round, and that was a 10 a.m. match on Saturday. Kell won 3-2 and is now going to play Union Grove, and that Midtown team, as I mentioned, had huge wins this season over St. Pius and a lot of teams in the higher classes. You're going to have Dalton against Decatur. Dalton's my number 3 team in 5A. Decatur's coming off a 3-2 win over Northgate in the Sweet 16, and then GAC is going to play Statesboro, and that will be at Statesboro. Both are number 1 seeds. All right, in Class 4A, we got Stars Mill against Pace Academy. Pace Academy is number 1 in my poll. Stars Mill is number 4. Both have swept their way to the Elite 8. Troop is going to play Central Carroll on the bottom left. And then you're going to have Westminster against Whitewater and Lovett against Trinity Christian. In Class 3A, number 1 Sandy Creek is going to be playing Crisp County at home. That will be on Wednesday. Coney County is number 2 in my poll. They're going to play Morgan County. You're going to have Hart County and Columbus, and then Savannah Christian against Hebron. And I don't think there were any upsets. Hebron did beat White County in the second round as a top 10 showdown. And then Columbus advanced past Calvary Day. That was also a top 10 matchup. Calvary Day has a great program. They used to win state and compete in the finals, but they've bumped up into 3A from Class A private. So there's some new teams, but Columbus was able to get a victory. All right, in Class 2A, Landmark Christian against North Cobb Christian. Landmark is my number 2 team. North Cobb Christian is number 5 heading into the playoffs. Savannah Arts is going to play Providence Christian, another top 10 matchup. Number 1 Mount Perrin is going to play ELCA. That is actually a number 1 Mount Perrin against number 3 ELCA. So a huge matchup right there in the quarters. And then Model is going to play Pierce County. And then Class A, one of the few number 4 seeds that is still alive is Mount Bethel. They come out of Area 6 which has Whitfield Academy still in it, Mount Vernon still in it as the number 3 seed, and Mount Pisgah as the number 1 seed. So similar to what we saw in Region 7 in 6A with the Alpharetta, Johns Creek, BT, and Pope, you have Area 6 with a chance to sweep its way into the semis. Mount Bethel beat Armucci in the first round. Armucci was a top 5 team. They beat Prince Ave the latest round. Now they're going to play Heard County, the top seed out of Area 4. Mount Pisgah is going to play Savannah. Mount Vernon is going to travel to Temple as the number 3 seed, and then Lamar County against Whitfield. So all those are going to be updated. That will be this Wednesday, most of the action, and we'll be covering that. But let's take one more quick break. We'll be back on the other side.
Dang, where you get this car?
You need to join the union.
The union?
Absolutely. You can get 10 of these.
Union construction workers earn the highest wages with the best benefits and the most protection in the construction industry. Find your career in construction. Go to GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com and start your future today.
What you doing?
Hey, just finishing this claim to get Dave back on the road.
Nice. I wonder what Dave's doing.
You do your thing. We've got you covered.
All right, welcome back. So big Elite 8 action starting on Wednesday for volleyball, and then we have the softball state tournament that's going to be in Columbus from Wednesday until I think Saturday will be the finals, so the 25th through the 28th. And so these brackets have been set and the action will start. So in Class 7A, East Coweta, North Gwinnett, North Cobb, Brookwood, North Paulding, Mill Creek, Buford, and Lowndes are the 8 teams that have reached the championship bracket. You got Pope, South Effingham, Noonan, Grovetown, Alcovey, River Ridge, Lassiter, and Effingham County in 6A. In 5A, Ola, Cartersville, Cambridge, Harris County, Northside, Columbus, Kell, Eastside, and Northgate. Yep. All right. And so in 4A, West Lawrence, Heritage, Catoosa, Sonoraville, Whitewater, Wayne County, Seconder, North Oconee, and Perry. In 3A, Jackson, Wesleyan, Pickens, Morgan County, Harlem, Gordon Lee, Hebron, and Pike County. In Class 2A, Jeff Davis, Rockmart, Eagles Landing Christian, Appling County, Vidalia, Mount Perrin, Banks County, and Toombs County. In Class A Division II, Lanier County, Bowden, Glasscock, Wilcox, ECI, Georgia Military, Washington, Wilkes, and Telfair County. And finally, Class A Division I, Heard County, Dade County, Prince Ave, Metter, Temple, Mount Vernon, Tryon, and Bacon County. So all those teams have a chance to advance and compete in that championship bracket. All right, so this weekend we had the second Hall of Fame class go in. It was a lot of fun. I always enjoyed seeing familiar faces. We had some of the guys that made it in the first year were back again. Champ Bailey was there. Takeo Spikes was there. Thought he was outstanding just with his support. You had Stan Rome, who came out to the Kell GAC game and then was there the entire time. And he is very just impressive. And when I talked to him at the game on Friday, I mean, this is a guy that his state record for total receiving yards, it held for almost, I think, 50 years. It was broken last year by Jaden Gibson from Rabun County, who had like 4,800 receiving yards. But I mean, he just talks about how he didn't even see himself as like that talented of a guy. He has Valdosta pride, and he says, yeah, I put up those numbers, but we had so many guys on our team. If it would have gone to someone else, they could have had those same numbers. And seeing him once again, I mean, he is the real deal and was just as good at basketball as he was football. And so the Valdosta program once again was well represented. You had Thomasville coming out strong with Coach Bobo getting in there. And then who was the other Thomasville story? Yeah, Guy McIntyre, who I learned was actually teammates with Dr. Robin Hines, the GHSA executive director. So that was a lot of fun talking to them. And Thomasville is actually the most represented school in the Hall of Fame at this point. They also had William Andrews, the great running back that used to play for the Falcons. He got in the first time around. A lot of Georgia guys obviously got in this year. A lot of Tech guys also. John Davis, I got to hang out with him, the former Buffalo Bill and Georgia Tech star. And it is crazy to think about when he was on those Bills teams competing in 4 Super Bowls. And yeah, the Bills didn't win any of them, but just hearing about how talented those offenses were and just how fun to watch those teams were, I enjoyed that. Then Charles Johnson from Hawkinsville. I think what stood out about this year compared to last year, there were a lot more players that were from outside the metro area this time around. A lot of smaller schools represented. We had Dan Reeves from America's High School, and then players from America's Sumter came up to support him. Cartersville's program came out because they had 2 guys getting in with Keith Henderson and Ronnie Brown. And then there were a lot of great quarterbacks in this class, and when you look at the state of Georgia, it's no secret. During the ceremony, we're all saying that Georgia has the best high school football. But as good as it's been in all these past names, the quarterback position is what's really taken a next step over the last few decades. With the amount of 5 stars, with the amount of guys going on to college and then the NFL becoming first-round picks, and seeing some of the quarterbacks that were in this class, DJ Shockley, Quincy Carter, 2 of the most highly rated high school quarterbacks to come out of the state. Then I guess the year before we had Eric Zaire, Marietta quarterback, but a lot of great passers. And then Buzzy Rosenberg was also very exciting. He was from Northside High School in Atlanta, played at the University of Georgia, and then you guys can read more about him, but he's just an extremely competitive human being that does American Gladiator. He set Guinness records for most pull-ups, like in I don't know what that one was for, but he definitely has like the most sit-ups. I mean, he's 71 years old. He went up on stage and just started busting out push-ups. So he's an absolute legend, and it was just fun. I had a good time. We'll see what happens next year with it, how big the class is, if we're still going to hold it in October, or if it will be postseason. But other than that, it was a lot of fun. The food was great. The venue was outstanding, and I appreciate everyone that came out to it. It was awesome. And we have some photos up, and yeah, that was a lot of fun. Yeah, Jeff Saturday was there. Then a lot of just former coaches, and it was a fun celebration of high school football in Georgia. But that's it for now. We got some work to do with the softball guide. I got to get my rankings out. But thank you so much. We'll be back tomorrow. If you haven't watched the Kell GAC game, you can go to the Score Atlanta YouTube page. We got all the game broadcast re-uploaded in their entirety up there, and a lot more content as well. Hope everyone has a good week, and we'll see you on Tuesday.
Dang, where you get this car?
You need to join the union.
The union?
Absolutely. You can get 10 of these.
Union construction workers earn the highest wages with the best benefits and the most protection in the construction industry. Find your career in construction. Go to GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com and start your future today.